Hi, everyone. My name is Abram Garcia. I'm the Director of Membership at the New Jersey State Bar Association. I want to express my gratitude for all the attendees that are joining us today for this informative webinar, Meet Decisis Legal Research Platform. Decisis is an exceptional legal research tool that we are excited to offer complimentary to all our NJSBA members. It provides access to a comprehensive library of content, including court decisions from all 50 states, as well as U.S. District Court and bankruptcy decisions. To ensure the quality and user-friendliness of Decisis, we've established a test group of people and have gathered valuable feedback. Their experience has been fantastic from what we hear. So we're excited to give everyone access to the platform as of July 1st. And it will be available to all of you on the NJSBA website. So I would like to inform you that this webinar is going to be recorded and it will be circulated within 3 to 5 business days. And this webinar is not worth any CLE credit. So I'll hand it over to Dan Griffith from Decisis to go ahead and get this webinar started.
Thank you so much, Abram. Hi, everybody. My name is Dan Griffith, and I lead business development for Decisis. Really excited to be here today speaking with everybody. So the purpose of this call today is really to make sure that you are comfortable with using Decisis by the end of this hour. So joining me on the call is Taylor Foltz, our Director of Member Engagement, as well as Kevin Bashaw, who is our Product Director. Kevin will actually be walking us through the demonstration today of Decisis. Kevin is a licensed attorney in Ohio and has used about every legal research platform that is currently in the market. So if you have any questions for Kevin, feel free to utilize the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. At the end of the presentation today, we will save some time for those questions. Because of the size of the audience today, if we don't get to your questions at the end, you can email either myself or Kevin with those questions. We will provide those email addresses to you, and we want to make sure that those questions are answered. Kevin will also show to you today a demo account of Decisis. Abram mentioned that you'll have access starting in July. We want to give you access today if you would like to log in. So Kevin will be showing a demo account, but this is an account that is used by everybody at the Bar Association. So we just ask that you don't change the user ID or password so that everybody can utilize it, but it is a shared account. So things like history and bookmarks, things like that, anybody that logs in will be able to see, and Kevin will show that as well. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Kevin Bashaw, who's going to walk us through the product demonstration today.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Really excited to be with all of you. We were actually at the annual meeting. So some of you, I think that we met actually in person, and everyone was fantastic. We really loved the New Jersey Bar Association. So let's get into it. Let me share my screen here. Now I'm going to walk you through just or at least mention real quickly how you're eventually going to log into Decisis. As Dan mentioned, that is going to be changing over at a certain point here. So as of July, we're looking at. So I think you can see my screen. Is that right? All right, there it is. So eventually what you're going to do is you're not going to have to remember a separate username, password, anything along those lines to access Decisis. You're just going to go to the New Jersey State Bar Association's website, and you'll see that we have the login information here on the right. You're going to log in, and then you're going to have then a link into Decisis. So that's eventually how you're going to log in. I just want to mention that just in case someone potentially is seeing this recording at a later date, that's how you're going to access it. For now, you're going to go to app.decisis.com, and that will take you to the sign-in page right here. So you can see that I have my login information right here, which I'll put in, and we'll just log in. So again, that's going to be app.decisis.com, and then you'll be able to log in there. And then from there, we're going to actually be able to log into Decisis. So before we dive in, let me just point out a few things. So you might be wondering kind of what is the thought process behind Decisis. What does it do really well? So just to kind of get back to, some of the reasons why Decisis was really created was there was an ABA survey that was done a few years back, and it asked participants how satisfied they were with bar associations' legal research options. And overwhelmingly, people were dissatisfied with what was being provided. And this came down to three main reasons. And it came down to the interface being really hard to use, hard to find things, kind of cluttered. Number two was actually the search results, being able to find what you needed to quickly. And the third one was actually having a reliable citator, being able to, after you've spent the hours and hours that you've done in terms of legal research, having a case that that you can take into court and that it is valid. Definitely don't want to be on the side where you bring in a case after you've spent a lot of time on it and then realize it's actually been overruled. So those were the main three reasons, and those are really what we've taken to heart when we built Decisis, is to address those three things. So here's the homepage. You can see the first one is right here, which is, it is very easy to use. It's very user friendly. If you've done legal research on any platform, I have no doubt that even without this instruction, you could just log in and be able to run a search and, be able to find what you need. We're going to go through a few of the little details, some of the things that nuances and helpful tips and tricks. Excuse me. So that's kind of what we're going to go. But you can see the interface is very easy to use. We have two main ways to search. We have our search all legal content, and then we can also either browse into different sources, the table of contents, for example, or search very specific legal research or sources. So those are our two options. Before we run a search, though, I want to cover our help options, which are really important. So right from the homepage, you'll see that we have two really great help options. The first being our help center, and that's going to be in the top right-hand corner of the screen. So you can see this question mark icon. If I hover over it, and let me just zoom in a little bit there, you can see that says help. If I hover over it, if I click on that, that will take me to the help center. The help center is really a wonderful resource. It's going to have popular articles. It's going to have quick links. It's going to have frequently asked questions, as well as some video tutorials. Now, you might be thinking there's a lot of resources there, but that sounds overwhelming. How do I find what I need to? It's really simple. You don't need to know where things are within the help center. It's really simple. At the top, you can see we have a big search bar here. So if I want information as far as standard citations and federal court, we just run a search. And you can see it's going to search all the different resources in the help center really quickly for us. So I can click on that first article, and that's going to then break down all the information for us. So really easy. You can see it's helpful. And the help center is also something that it's not a stagnant area. It is something that we add to on a constant basis. If we find that people are having a certain type of question that they need answered, we add to articles. We add entire new frequently asked questions off of that. So it is something that we really on an ongoing basis put a lot of effort into. So that is the help center, top right hand corner. The other really great help option is going to be in the bottom right, and that is our live chat support. Live chat support is phenomenal. We click on that. There we can actually ask a question, you can see in live chat format. Now, this is not a chat bot. This is not something that you're not talking to a real person. This is you're actually reaching out to somebody at Decisis, and it's either going to be an attorney or someone who's very familiar with legal research. Now, I say that because you should know that the live chat support isn't just technical support on the website. So it's not just I have a problem logging in or some kind of issue like that. It is actually, if you need legal research support, they can help as well. Sometimes you might just want to kind of speed up the process and say, how do I find this type of statute or this type of case that is dealing with my matter? How do I format that, or what's the best way to do that? they can help you with it. So you can see right at the bottom, we have 7-day-a-week chat hours. So if you do unfortunately get stuck doing legal research on the weekend, you still have support there. So really great resource. It's very simple. Put your question in there, submit, and it usually will take, just a minute or two to be able to actually set that live chat support up and talk to somebody. So going back to the homepage again, just to reiterate, 2 help options: Help Center in the top right, that's going to have frequently asked questions, articles, quick links, and videos, and then our live chat support in the bottom right. So I wanted to cover that because obviously when you're going about doing something, you might just have a question here or there, and those are 2 great options to be able to try to get an answer for yourself. Now, turning our attention back to an actual search. Let's run a search. We're going to, by default, search that all legal content. So everything that is out there in one search. I'm going to put in a simple search. So I'm just going to type in breach of contract. And you'll notice that as I go to type, there's a few things that pop up for us. So it's going to recommend actual documents, cases, different things that might be relevant to you, as well as actual searches that might be helpful. So what Decisis is doing here is actually recognizing that breach of contract is an actual term of art. So as opposed to some options that are out there, which I had mentioned that people were kind of dissatisfied in that ABA text survey as far as the search results that they received. Part of that is right here, you can actually see, because what some other options will do in legal research is they will search for 3 different words. They'll search for breach, they'll search for contract, and importantly, they'll also search for the word of, which means that you'll get maybe some different results than you'd probably expect, because it's going to prioritize cases with a lot of ofs in them. If there's a number of ofs, it's going to prioritize that because it thinks it's the most relevant. So that is why you get a little bit different results maybe than you'd expect. Here you can see that it's going to recommend not only the term of art in the actual documents, but it's going to suggest different legal phrases that might be related to that. So breach of contract material, breach of contract cancellation, for example. So we'll run this as a simple search here. I'll also point out too that over on the right, you can see that Decisis supports both natural language and also search operators. So don't feel like you have to, but I want to mention, if you are someone who thinks that you like to search with Boolean, terms and connectors, search operators, however you want to refer to it, we support those. And here is not the extensive list. This is just the most popular ones. If you needed a reminder, they're probably pretty familiar to you if you use them on a regular basis. It's pretty similar to any other platform you'd use with search operators. We'll go through a little bit more detail on that towards the end, but I just want to point that out from the beginning. So with that being said, we're going to then search in cases, and then we're going to select our jurisdiction. Now, I want to point out a few really great options with jurisdiction. First of all, you should know, as we talked about at the beginning of the call, really, really fantastic that now you have access through the bar for 50 state coverage and federal. So you're not just limited to New Jersey state law, you now have that broader coverage, which is really phenomenal. A lot of different matters are, relating to either the federal courts or potentially, multiple states, New Jersey and, for example, New York for, certain matters. So this is really great. So with that, you can actually select the jurisdictions that you need. We can select New Jersey, we can select New York. If we wanted to, we can actually even select all 50 states by selecting all here. And that will give us that broad coverage. So if we want to see everything that's out there with state and territories across the board, we can select all. If that was a mistake, we can hit none. We can also do the same thing on the federal side too. So we can select all federal if we were interested in everything that's out there on the federal level, or we can select none. And we can select obviously individual courts as we go through. One option that I want to show though, which is really helpful, is we could select New Jersey, for example, and then we can also include related federal with this toggle here at the top. So that is really fantastic if we want to see what is offered on the New Jersey state side, but potentially if something's, gone up from New Jersey into federal court, I'm interested and I don't want to miss that. So it's just kind of that extra check if you want to make sure that you've seen anything that, originated in New Jersey. We'll just hit that toggle, and now it's going to include the related federal. So then we're going to hit the magnifying glass and run our search. Okay, so we ran our search, as you saw, within cases. Now, at the top, I want to point out that simultaneously, that Decisis has run the search also in those other content types as well. So you can see we have codes and court rules, registers, agency decisions. Whichever we need to jump into is really simple to do that. We're just going to go through that tab. This mirrors a lot of our workflow in legal research. So a lot of times we want to look up a topic and we want to see maybe what the cases are involved with it and maybe the statutes that are controlling. And it's as simple as going from cases into our codes and court rules, and then we can go back if we wanted to. So really helpful. And then just going through really quickly, I want to point out again how I mentioned that the search was actually searching that term of art, breach of contract. You'll see that one thing that's really fantastic in terms of how intelligent it is in searching is it's recognizing different deviations from that term of art. So you can see that it's recognizing contracts being related to that term. You'll see that in certain cases, it will come up as breached or the party breaches the contract. It will recognize all of this derivatives, which is really helpful. So wanted to point that out. Now on the top, we have over 4,000 cases. It's obviously a lot of reading. Most of us probably don't have the time to go through all of those. So we probably want to narrow that down. And we do that with our filter option. Filter option is going to be in the top left. We're going to click on this filter icon. And then with that, we can filter down by keyword, by specific court. And you'll notice with the plus sign here, we can actually click on that plus sign and it will expand the court for us. So really great if we want to get down, fully into specific courts. We can get down into, for example, Southern District of Ohio with our search. If we wanted to just narrow that down, we can also do that on the state side as well. Now going further, we can also narrow it down by date range and also collection. Now, the collection is going to allow us to, you can see, narrow it down by appellate division. You can see unpublished, published cases. We're going to have those options here. You can see there's a ... here. If you just hover over it, it will actually list the full title. So you can see this is the unpublished cases. Above that's going to be the published cases. And then we also have date range, which I'll say is really helpful. Potentially, we want to look for cases that happened after a legislative change. So if there's a new law, we want to see all the cases that happened after that. We can put that as our start date. Or we can also, if our matter happened in the past, we can also change that the end date is that legal change and see everything that happened prior to it because that's relevant to our matter. So those are our filters. I'm just going to go to the top, just put in a follow-up keyword. We're going to hit plus and then apply. And you can see from there, we can actually go down into 1,000 and it's going to show you the follow-up term here in a different color. So you can really see, where those hits are coming up in that passage. At the top, we filtered, but we can also sort our results as well. So as opposed to filtering down to specific criteria, we can sort our results by different criteria. So in the top right, you can see the default's going to be by relevance. If we click the down arrow, we have a number of other options, which might be really helpful to you. So one of those, if you wanted to see the newest cases, we can click on date newest. We also have alphabetical and reverse alphabetical for the document title, jurisdiction. If you wanted to see the cases in the highest courts, we can select court highest to lowest or vice versa. One that is really helpful, I think that you'll appreciate, is the court highest by date newest. So if you were looking up a topic and you wanted to see those newest cases and the biggest courts, you can click on that. It's going to prioritize both of those, and then you can sort those right to the top for yourself. So that can be really helpful. Also point out too that to the left of that, we can actually bookmark a search. So if there's a search that you want to run on a regular basis, it's going to be right here on the left. You can see this bookmark icon. If we click on it, it will actually change colors. So now that is going to be bookmarked in our bookmarks, which I'll cover in a second. And if I want to unbookmark it, I'll just click on that again. It's going to ask me if I want to remove it from our bookmark searches, and we'll click remove. So just wanted to point that out. Now, if we click into one of the cases, I want to show you something that I think you'll absolutely love when you actually get into Decisis and start using it, which is if we click into a case, we have this really, really amazing split screen design. So what this allows us to do is that we have our search results that are here on the left and the case that we selected here on the right. So very quickly, we can click into a case, scroll down, see what the matter is about. Is this pertinent to what we're looking for? And then if not, we can click on the next result. It's as simple as that. So as opposed to what you might be used to doing, which is either clicking into a case, reading through that, clicking back, clicking into a case, clicking back, on and on and on, or opening up 50 tabs like I tend to do. This is really quick. We can see what's relevant to us in the same tab. We don't have to click back and forth, and everything's available for us. Now, if you initially look at this and you might think, this is fantastic, but what if I wanted to make the document full screen? Easy enough. Right at the top, you'll see that we have this expand document option here with this arrow pointing left. If we click on that, that will make the case full screen for ourselves. And then once we have that, we don't have to click back or anything along those lines. If we want to get back to our search results, it's just going to be in the top left. You can see show results here, and then we'll slide back open for us to resume where we are. And with that, I'll mention too that you can see that we're in the mare case. Number 3 is the fibro animal health case. If we click expand here and we wanted to get to the next case, we could either open up show results, or you'll also notice that we have these arrows here on the right and left. One on the right will go to the next result. And you can see that is actually taking us to that next result here. Really great. We want to get back, arrow here on the left. So quite simple. Just to kind of go through things again. If we're in a case, we can click on show results. That's going to be our search results. If we want the case to be full screen, we're just going to click on expand document. And then we have it as full screen. So show results, expand document, really simple. And I showed that a few times just to make sure that you saw it. Sometimes I know that just in terms of sharing your screen, sometimes that icon can be a little bit tough to actually see the first time. And I don't want you to be stuck when you get in here and say, what was actually clicked on? So once we are in our case, we have a few different things that I want to point out. First of all, we can navigate through the case really easily. So right here, we have our search option here on the top left. So what this will allow us to do is actually search within the case for a new term. So for example, if we wanted to run a search for transit and see where transit is coming up within the case. And of course, there we go. Come on. There we go. Computer took a second there. So we could run a search for transit, for example, as a keyword through the case and see where that's coming up. And you can see that we have 4 instances here. And then we can navigate through the different passages of hits of where that's coming up in the case with these arrows. So I can click on next passage and that will take me through the case. So that is how we would search a case. We can also navigate by page numbers with this central option. And then on the right, we can actually navigate through the terms we already searched. So if I wanted to see, for example, where the actual legal phrase breach of contract is coming up, I can select that. and just navigate through the case where it's coming up. And we see we have 3 different instances where that's coming up. Now, going back to the top, I mentioned page numbers. Also show you this, which is that we have our reporters that are listed here at the top. When we go through the case, you'll see that, for example, 459 is selected here as the page number. That corresponds to the reporter that's selected in red. If we wanted this reporter, for example, we could click on that. That will turn red. And then you can see as we go through, now it is 752. It has changed the page numbers automatically for us. So this is really great. If the opposing counsel has cited to this case and they cited to that reporter, I can change to the reporter and then literally be on the same page potentially as they are in those references. Now, as we go through, you'll also notice too that we have hyperlinked through the different resources. So if there is a statute, code, case that is mentioned within the case, we actually hyperlink directly to it. You can click on it and go directly there. That is obviously a change from what was available to you with Fastcase in the past, in that if you found something, a statute case, you potentially have to write that down and run a new search or go through a table of contents to try to locate where that is. Obviously, that's kind of time consuming. So I think that you'll appreciate that option, which is you can click directly on it and actually read through what is referenced there in the case. On the right, we have our delivery options. So we have our bookmark, download, and email option here. There's going to be a 4th here that comes up pretty soon, which will be a direct print option. Right now, if you want to print, you're just going to hit the download and then print from that download. It's as easy as that. Now, also, I want to show you an option that will come up and really help you out quite a bit when you're writing something, which is, let's say that we have 2 screens. We have our Word document in another screen. We're writing a motion, for example, and we wanted to put a passage from this case with a citation to the case. So I can actually highlight the passage that I wanted to include. And then you'll notice here that once I select the passage, this dialog box comes up and it says copy. And I haven't selected an option here, but if I click on this right, then I can select what type of format I want the citation to be in. Do I want it to be standard, blue book, a number of other options we have here, including New Jersey. If I can get it lined up here. So we'll click on New Jersey. And then once we have that selected, we're just going to click on that dialog box again. And then that will copy the passage to my computer in its memory. And it will also then include the citation in that New Jersey format. So now I can paste that into a Word document, and then it will be done automatically. So you can see the text and citation were copied using New Jersey style. You can now paste that into a Word document to then have the passage with the citation. So really simple. You're just going to highlight that section. You can see if you haven't selected New Jersey before, you're just going to click on that arrow and select the format that you want. And then I'm just going to click on that dialog box to then have that copied. So you can see it confirms that that has been copied. Now I'm just going to paste that into a document really easily. Now, let's go back to the top. One last thing that is really important with a case is what we mentioned with that ABA text study, which is the citator. Decisis uses the intercite citator, and you'll notice that there's the icons here at the top. So you can see negative here in red. That is the intercite citator icon. If you wanted the actual report for the negative cases and citing decisions for this case, you're just going to click on that icon. And the report's going to be broken up into 2 different areas. One is going to be the negative citing decisions as well as all citing decisions. So here we can see that there is one negative citing decision, and it is actually in New Jersey Superior Court. Now from there, I can click into the case. You'll also notice I have my delivery options here. So if I wanted to, for example, download this to put this into my client matter, I can very easily do that. Right at the top, you can see that we have our all citing decisions here. So we can actually see the other citing decisions that aren't negative on the right. And what's really great about this is we have 117, which is, again, a lot of reading. So we can filter those down. And in some cases, you might even get, around 10,000 site decisions for some of the more seminal cases. So we have our filter here, which is really helpful. We'll click on that. And then from there, we can filter that down by court or date range. So if I wanted to see the last 5 years of cases, for example, just in New Jersey, I could do that. So really simple. And if I want to go back to that case, we're just going to click on that title here at the top, and that's going to take us back to that case. So simple enough on those fronts. Now, we'd mentioned bookmarks and our delivery options. So let's cover bookmarks really quickly. At the top, you'll notice that there is that bookmark icon. With the bookmarks, we can bookmark documents as well as we can bookmark searches I had mentioned before. So those are 2 tabs here. On the documents, it's going to show you the date that it was saved, and the document, if we click on it, will take us directly there. The bookmark searches will bookmark the actual search content type with the filters involved and tell you the date that it was saved. So pretty handy there. Now, next to the bookmark options is we have our history option. If we click on that, it's going to look very familiar to you, to the bookmarks. So it also will have our documents and our searches that are saved for us. So from there, it's going to look a lot of the same. So you might ask, what's the difference between the bookmarks and the history? And you can see right at the top, this is going to be the main difference, which is the history will last for 90 days. So if you get disturbed, someone calls you, you can easily get back into Decisis and pick up where you left off. If you need something saved for a longer period of time than 90 days, for example, it's pertinent to your matter, which is going to go on for, over a year, we want to then bookmark it. So that's going to be the main difference. So with that, let's go back to our homepage and explore that other way that I said that we could search. So on Decisis, we searched with the search all legal content. Sometimes we want to either browse or get a little bit more pinpoint precise on our search. So that's going to be with our browse specific legal content. We're going to click on that. And from there, we're going to select our content catalog. So we can go into our codes and court rules as we have here. And then we have our options to select jurisdiction. So very easy, we can select our New Jersey option and then hit apply. And I'll also call your attention to this option here at the bottom. It's a little toggle that says set as default catalog. This is really great if you don't want to reselect these every time you go into browse. So if you know that you're going to probably be looking at codes and court rules in New Jersey in the future, just hit that toggle, and then this will be sticky. So the next time you come in, it will remember codes and court rules in New Jersey, and you don't have to select them. Now, on the right, you'll see that we have a few different codes and court rules that's related to New Jersey. We have the federal court rules with New Jersey state, constitution, statutes. So from here, we can actually select just the statutes, for example. And then if I had a question as far as what is the statute for theft in New Jersey, I can just run theft directly into the statutes, run that as a search. And you can see that this is only now searching the New Jersey statutes. So this can be helpful. We can click into there, for example. This will also have that split screen design that I had mentioned before. So we can expand the document, for example. And then once we are in an actual statute, you'll notice that we can access the table of contents or archive codes, which I'll cover in a second. So going back to that browse, again, you can see that now that I've set that as my default catalog, it has remembered the codes and court rules with New Jersey. So we can search a source as we did here with the statutes. We can also search two sources. So if I wanted to see if there's a concept in the statutes or in the Constitution of New Jersey, I can do that very easily. Occasionally, we might also not want to do a direct search, but we actually want to browse. So easy enough. At the top, you can see that there is the symbol, it's clickable, and this is the table of contents. So it's this icon right here. You can see it's to the right of the title of the source. So if I wanted to see the table of contents for the statutes, I'm going to click right here. And from here, we have some really great resources to be able to try to find what we're looking for. So we can navigate it as you'd probably expect with the table of contents. We can click this plus button next to any of the titles. We can go down into, let's say, chapter 1, and then be able to access any of the individual statutes. So I'll do that. You can see from here, again, we have our option to go back to the table of contents and access the archive codes. We do have archive codes, which is really great. So if your matter happened in the past and you wanted to see what did the 2016 version of this look like, because that's when my matter happened, I can just click on number 7, which is 2016 version, and actually see the way that it was worded at that time. Then we can also then go into other archive code versions to see what maybe happened the next year, or go back to the current code version. So from there, let's go back to the table of contents. So we covered this, which is we can obviously browse as you'd expect with a table of contents, but some really helpful options is right at the top. You'll notice that we can search all documents in the source. So what that allows us to do is, let's say that there was a specific chapter that we wanted to run a search on, and not even just the whole New Jersey statutes, just that chapter. We can select, for example, chapter 1. And now I can search all the documents related to what I've selected. I can also select the table of contents only and search just the titles of the table of contents. So not the underlying documents, essentially just those titles in the table of contents. Either one can be really helpful depending on what we're trying to look for, but I wanted to point that out. And then you'll also notice that I have selected, for example, this whole chapter, chapter 1. I can also select any of the other statutes that we have. So you can see as I'm clicking through, if you're paying attention at the top, you can see we have 16 of 100. And then as I click, it's going to say 17, 18, 19. So what that's allowing me to do is, you can probably already guess, at the top, we have the download option. So we can actually bulk download from the table of contents. So if there's an entire chapter potentially that you wanted to take a look at, or you wanted to save in your client matter folder on your computer, very easy. We're just going to select what we need to and hit download. Now you can either do that by selecting the individual documents or potentially selecting that chapter or title at the top. Now you are limited in the bulk downloading to just 100. So if you are somebody who really likes to do some fun light reading over the weekend and you wanted to do the, look through 500 documents, you can easily do that. You're just going to have to do that as 5 different bulk downloads. Usually pretty simple though. So with that, that is how we go through our table of contents, how we search the table of contents in different ways, how we go to archive codes and be able to navigate through the table of contents. Now, I'd mentioned at the beginning that we were also going to cover the other ways that we could search. So some of you that are listening, I have no doubt, don't search in natural language. You use terms and connectors or search operators or Boolean, however you like to refer to that as. So I just want to cover that really quickly. And if you don't use search operators, maybe there's a circumstance that we're going to cover that might be pertinent to you. So as I go to type a term, as I mentioned, this dialog box on the right will give you kind of the most popular ones in search operators. So covering those, the first one that we have is and. And so in this example, it says voting rights and elections. So what that will do is it will try to find both terms in a case. It will find voting rights and elections. So typically, let's say that you had 7 different words that you were using in a search. Decisis is going to try to find, obviously, if there is a case with those 7 terms, but maybe there's not. And maybe there's a case that has 6 out of the 7. Decisis would try to find that case for you, right? If you put ands between all of those search terms, what it's going to do is only find if the case has all the terms you put and between. So it's more restrictive, but also more precise if you want it to just get, it has to have everything that you're putting and between. The next one that we have is in quotes. So if you're looking for an exact phrase, you're going to put that into quotes and you're going to find that exact phrase. That's going to be different than it's, in this case, it has in quotes, duty to mitigate. If we did not put that in quotes, it would try to find mitigate, for example, in a case, and it might have, duty at some point in the case as well. So this is really wonderful if you're trying to find, let's say there's a bright line test or something along those lines that a judge has referred to, and it might have common words in it, but you're trying to find that exact phrasing from what they're talking about to try to find when that test comes up into cases. So we'll put that in quotes and be able to find only that exact phrase. The next one that we have is or. This can be really helpful. Pull that back up. So or is really great if you're trying to find words that essentially mean the same, but obviously are not the same word. So let's say that there was a boating accident and we were trying to find any related cases. We could use boating, but that might not be fully what we're looking for. We might miss some cases. So we might want to put in boating or boat or yacht or vessel or you could refer to it so many different ways. It could be water vessel. So putting ors between those, we'll try to find anything of those terms. So if it finds, for example, one of the 5 terms that we've put in, it will try to do that. So it could hit on any of those 5 terms, it's going to pull those all back. So if we did those and then accident, we'd find anything related to boating accidents that we could think of. So that's a helpful option. And not. This is one that I think is everyone should probably know, because it's really great to be able to exclude results in certain circumstances. So I think this is a great example here, which is, let's say that we had a matter that dealt with racketeering. So we were trying to find RICO cases. So in this case, we're saying RICO and not Porto. So what that will do is it's trying to find a reference to RICO, those racketeering cases, but we don't want cases that are just mentioning Puerto Rico in them. So in that case, we do and not, and excluding the word Porto. So if it comes up, it's not going to show in our search results. And then I'm only restricting it to just those racketeering RICO cases. So that's and not between words. And then we also have this /n. So you might wonder what the /n is. N is in place of a number, and this could be any number. So in this example, we have punitive /5 damages. So we'll try to find this word punitive within 5 words of the word damages. So this is really great if you're trying to find relation between words. You might not want a case where it mentions punitive at the beginning and then damages at the end, but it doesn't actually say in the same sentence or context punitive damages. So that /5 is really good. You can change that number to whatever is relevant to you. You could put it with, /20 within 20 words. This can also be helpful if you have a proper name. So if you're looking for a specific attorney or party that was mentioned in the case, we could say if there was somebody named John Michael Doe, we could do, and we didn't know if they were going to mention in the case John Doe or John Michael Doe. We could do John /3 Doe, and it would account for both of those because John would be within 3 words of Doe, regardless of whether the middle name is mentioned or not. So that's pretty helpful. So those are the top ones that we have for search operators. This is not the exhaustive list. If you want the exhaustive list, and this is really speaking to you, you can get to the Help Center. And then you'll see that right at the top, one of the most popular articles here on the right is search operators. So if we click on that, that will go through the whole exhaustive list of search operators. There's a lot that I haven't even mentioned, but you can go through and see, for example, /s with this going to be within the same sentence or paragraph, so on and so forth. So that's going to be your resource if you really want to dive into it. Now, if you have not used search operators, what I'm saying sounds, you know, like something that you're not interested in, that's fine. You absolutely do not have to use search operators. Decisis has a fantastic, very strong search algorithm that, as we mentioned before, can even recognize derivatives of words and also terms of art. So you can just put your regular search terms in and it will do a great job. I mentioned that because some of your more advanced researchers really appreciate the search operators. So with that, I think that we'll pause for a second and try to get into answering some of the questions that were asked.
Thank you, Kevin. Before I get to those questions, I did want to remind everybody that within the chat right now, there is instructions that Abram posted on how to access Decisis today. So feel free to go just up in the chats. The website is app.decisis.com. The user ID that you can use is research@njsba.com, with the password being njsba with a capital N 23 with an exclamation point. So I want to make sure that you're able to take note of that before the session ends here in just a few moments. I also did include both my email address and Kevin's email address in the chat. So also feel free to write that down. If you have any questions or follow-ups from this presentation today, please feel free to send myself or Kevin or both of us an email so we can get those answered. So there was a couple of questions that came in that I said that I would ask you, Kevin. The first one, is there an option to clear the history prior to 90 days?
There is not, no.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure of that. That's a question I've not received before, so I thought I'd ask you that.
Yeah, great question. But really, I mean, your history is for you. So it should be just your history. Obviously, we're doing a shared account here just for the interim. But once you log in the normal way through the New Jersey State Bar Association's website, the history will be only yours. So that there's no function to be able to delete it because you want your history. You don't want to miss out on items that you've actually went through before.
Yeah, that's a great distinction. Yeah, the history that you see now will be everybody's. That's in the demo account accessing it, but it will be specific to just you once that is up in July. Another question that we had was, how current are the searches? If a bankruptcy case is filed, how long does it take before it shows on Decisis?
That is a wonderful question. So it's a great question. It's a little bit more tricky to answer because you can imagine the number of courts that we have to work with. And so it really is going to depend on the courts, how fast that, like what is the mechanism that they communicate that the case is there. And then we obviously go as fast as absolutely possible. In terms of most cases, is probably going to come down extremely fast. I mean, we're looking at hourly, daily, depending on again, most courts. I will put a little bit of a thing there though, that we do cover some smaller courts, and we also deal with some unpublished cases, and those are going to be a little bit longer of lead time. But if you're looking at, obviously those bigger cases that are coming through, those should be almost immediate.
Yeah, thank you. And there was a question to it. I tried my best to answer it, but it might be just quicker and easier for you to show. Can you show how to search in the bankruptcy courts?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our homepage here. Now we have two ways that we could do it. We could just run a search, and then in our results, when we're searching all legal content, we could narrow it down with the filtering that we talked about to be able to get there. But if you wanted to do a direct search, we're going to go into our browse specific legal content, for example. And then instead of our codes and court rules, we're going to select cases. And then you can see that we'll be able to then run that search and then be able to narrow that down. So I'll show you the filtering option that we had. So if we, had just a quick search for, if I can type in it, anything at all. Okay, so we ran that as a broad search. I didn't put any filters in other than just cases. From there, you'll notice we can hit our filter. And then if we wanted to, let's click into this. So from there, we're going to be able to go through and you can see, select the court that we want, regardless of what type of case we're looking for. And then we can narrow it down within our state or jurisdiction that we're looking for. So in New Jersey, for example, we can go down into our superior courts, Supreme Courts, and then, for example, even the Court of Chancery if we needed to. At the top, you'll notice that we can then select, for example, our U.S. tax courts. We can go down into military justice, and so on and so forth. So this is essentially how we would filter if we did not go directly into it with our through our browse option. So
yeah, I was playing around with that when I was doing it as well. There under the all jurisdictions as well, there's a selection for bankruptcy.
yeah. And so you can see here that we have our, bankruptcy cases, for example, for the different circuits. And we just select that, run our search directly in there and that browse, like I said, or we go down into our filters if we were running that main search. But the concept is the same, regardless of what type of court you're trying to get down to, is you're just going to go into our cases, select jurisdiction, and then narrow that down in a browse option, or go through a filter option after you've done your search in the all legal content section.
Yeah, thank you. There was one other question that came in. I know we're tight on time. Can you just show again for everybody how to access this? How can somebody log into this today?
Okay, absolutely. So what we are going to do is, you can see right here at the top, I believe, you see app.decisis.com, which you'll also notice in the chat that I believe Dan has put a title or a link into. Yeah. So
Yes.
if you look through the chat, there's that. Here, let me just put that here on the screen so you can see. Can you see that? No, I don't think it's actually showing.
No, yeah, we cannot see the.
Okay, let me try to reshare real quickly.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? It's because Zoom's not letting
Yeah,
me
it doesn't
share
let you show your chat. Yeah.
the other chat. Okay. Okay. Let me
But
paste-
maybe log out and then you show how to log back in potentially.
Yeah, let me well, I just wanted to make sure that it was available.
Okay.
Hold on. I just wanted everybody to be able to actually see that really quickly. Let me see here. And no, it's not letting me. Okay, never mind. Let me log out very quickly. So we're gonna hit log out. And then from there, we're just going to go into our we're going to go to app.decisis.com, which, even though you can't see it, I can't share it apparently through Zoom. It is in the chat if you click on the chat icon. And then from there, we have our user ID, which we're going to post my login is not or my it's remembering in my my memory for the computer the passage that I selected at the beginning. So if you just type in research at njsba.com, and then the password, which is again in the chat here, which is capital N and then JSBA 23 exclamation point into the password. And apparently it's still saving my password or the passage from it. You're just going to hit that in the password and then hit login, and then you'll be able to access Decisis directly. So again, that is a temporary aspect until eventually it switches over on the website, and then you'll be able to just log into your own account.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. One last question that just popped in the chat. It's super quick, so I'll go ahead and ask it. Dave's not seeing split screen when viewing results.
Okay.
Is there a setting?
Yeah, great question on that. So it's one of two things. One is the size of your monitor. So if you're on a tablet or phone, for example, it's going to automatically resize, and then you're not going to see the split screen. If you have a full size, widescreen monitor, it will come up. The other option too is that if you are on a widescreen monitor currently, you might be zoomed in. So if you hit Control minus a couple times to the point where it says 100%, then you should automatically see the split screen. If you have any problems that is not related to either of those two, you are on a big screen and you're at 100%, email Dan or myself, and we'll work with you on that.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, everybody, for your time today. I'm going to pass it back over to Abram to close us out.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for this very informative webinar. I did want to just say a couple of things. I hope everyone enjoyed the session and found it informative. If not, please email Dan or please email Kevin. They are here to help you. I know there's a couple of Q&As that came in towards the end, and feel free to contact those. Their email addresses are in the chat, so feel free to email them or email me directly, and I'll forward that to them to get you some help. Secondly, I just want to make clear that on July 1st, once you log into the website and you hover over membership, where it says Legal Research Fast Case is where you will see Legal Research Decisis appear. That will be a very similar landing page of tools. This recording will be found on there, some PDFs to help you. Their customer service support number and information will be on there as well. And here's where you'll log in with their credentials. I do want to let you know that for the first couple of days, you will log in differently from how you'll log in regularly. For the fast case users on the current call, you usually just click this link here and it will prompt you to the platform and it'll be your account. We'll have that single sign-on feature on for you after July 10th. You are also going to be the first to know, and giving you a sneak peek that the NJSBA is getting a new website. And we're excited to bring all these changes to you. It's an exciting time. We heard your feedback. We're making changes. And along with that change is also coming Decisis. But there will be detailed instructions on how you can access the platform on July 1st up until we have the new site, and then new instructions will also go out to you then. But please, if you log in on July 1st and don't have access to any of these options, it's probably because you did not renew your membership. It is an instant cutoff, so please make sure that your membership is renewed and make sure that everything is up to date so you have access to Decisis. And with that, we have one more training webinar on July 10th after we are live. So please, if you want to attend another session, please do so. You can follow along with your own account at that time. Exciting stuff. And like I said, feel free to email any questions to me at agarcia@njsba.com, and I'll send them over to the Decisis team, or you have Dan and Kevin's emails below. Again, this also next week, I'll put a little landing page here with some of the Decisis information, so you have a head start and can find that information. It will prompt you to log in, just FYI. So the recording will be found there, and other information materials will be found there as well. So stay tuned next week for more details, and you'll be hearing from us very soon. So And with that, I'll close out this webinar and thank you so much for attending.